Dear brothers, Friday boys, we made it. Big week, great week. I've been talking to a few of you off channel here who have just talked about getting after it in the gym. Work's been going, focused on some things that you can improve this week. And there's nothing that I want to hear more than that the dudes who listen to this every morning, which, it's not like it's a billion of you, but the ones who are listening are making real strides in their life to be better men, husbands, fathers, athletes, and the list goes on. So, in light of that, I had a good question from a buddy of mine earlier this week asking about how do you approach quote unquote cheat days in terms of I've been good this whole week. I've eaten well. I've gotten after it in the gym, worked really hard. I feel like I've earned something, a treat, if you will. Might be bourbon, might be some beers, might be pizza, could be a host of things like that. And so I have a pretty tactical approach to this, and it is not a one size fits all. Because from the hundreds and hundreds of people that I have worked with, no one thing works the same with everybody. But I'm going to give you kind of my overview of how I handle different people, how I approach kind of this cheat day idea. And so this is kind of how I look at it. Generally speaking, when we talk about diets or eating, I give people the 80-20 rule in the beginning. 80% of their week should be stout, robust, good meals, no garbage, single to 3 ingredient foods, getting enough protein every day, etc. That needs to really be the entirety of their week. If and only if they were good with those things throughout the week, then I usually will give them some leeway for either 1 or 2 meals. Now, those 1 or 2 meals do not have to be on the weekend. It's just easier, specifically in Western culture, because on the weekend is when most people aren't working. But the way that I look at it is, I'll give you a good example. So I have a client right now who we've been trying to cut down on the amount of drinking that they do. It's an easy example because this happens with a lot of folks. And so instead of they were having around 10 drinks a week, which most of you might be like, 10 drinks? That sounds like a lot. You'd be shocked if you actually kept track of how much you drink. I had some people that were like, oh my God, I had 30 drinks last week. It accumulates pretty easily. But anyways, they were having 10 drinks a week. And I said, hey, this is what we're going to do. As long as you hit your workouts during the week and, we're mostly good with your diet, because their diet was pretty decent at the time, you will earn yourself 8 drinks a week. And so that approach with them worked quite well. They would get to, the middle of the week and I'd say, hey, you've been good with workouts the last 2 days. You can have a glass of wine tonight. And they were like, okay, perfect. I'll have a glass of wine with dinner. So they got a little taste of a treat in the middle of the week, but that was it. It was just 1. We got to the end of the week and they were, again, good. I said, okay, you can have a glass of wine, or 2 glasses of wine, on Friday night. And they were like, okay. Come Saturday, same thing. I was like, hey, you got your workout in this morning. You did what you were supposed to. Again, tonight you can have a couple more glasses. And realistically, over the course of, it was about 3 weeks, they went from 10 drinks a week to about 4. And it wasn't because I said they couldn't drink or don't do this. It was because I just implemented it on a earned basis. If you've been good with your workouts, with your training, those things are not diminishing, you're sleeping at night, etc., you can still have treats, if you will, across the week. I actually do not like doing it as just a weekend thing because people will have benders. Monday through Friday, they're great, or usually Monday through Thursday, they are great. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they just go off the rails. Pizza, tacos, tons of beer, tons of liquor. It's just not controlled. And unfortunately, when that happens, what they've done Monday through Friday almost gets wiped out because of the giant caloric surplus they get over the weekend, never mind the amount of alcohol they consume. So I don't like the idea that you've been good Monday through Friday and you can go crazy on the weekends. I would much rather you take the approach that, okay, I worked out hard during the week, and for those of you that don't drink a lot, this drinking is probably the biggest one, because it's just empty calories and poison for that matter. But I myself like to have a drink. However, I limit myself to a certain number per week. I say, okay, I can have 3 drinks this week. Doesn't matter when I have them, but I can only have 3. So if I know that I'm only going to have 3 this week, and I know this Saturday and Sunday football's on or what have you, I'm going to save them for those days. Or I'm going to save them for going to dinner with friends or hanging out with my buddies or playing golf, whatever it ends up being. But I think what gets most people is that they think cheat meals are something that they deserve. And that's not the case. You have to earn the ability to do those things because it's a slippery slope, right? It's just a mustard seed. And I know this personally, and we know it psychologically. When you allow yourself to have tastes of things and there's no cap on them, people just continue eating them and continue eating them and continue eating them. I've had to tell people like cut peanut butter out of their diet, not because peanut butter is bad for you, but because they can't stop themselves. They start eating it, and then 8 tablespoons later, they're like, oh, I guess I probably should stop eating peanut butter. So we have to get that out of the house. Unfortunately, there's a reason we can't have nice things, and that's because most of us don't have the self-control to stop ourselves from doing things. And so I have found it much easier to take the approach that instead of going from 100 to 0, we're going to cut out all your drinks, no more bad food, etc. This is like the idea of doing like the Whole30 or keto for 30 days or whatever your diet is. People are great for 30 days. And then they get a taste of something when they're done with that after they've been deprived of it. And they just go right back down the rabbit hole. That's not an effective technique. That's a, sine wave of nutrition and performance. And it's just not useful. I am a much bigger fan of where are you right now? So if you look at your week, you go, okay, I'm eating a good lunch every day. Maybe I eat breakfast. Maybe I don't. I have dinner every day, which is also good. I'm eating vegetables, fruits, lean meats. My starches tend to be whole grain or just, I'm not eating a ton of junk. And I'm doing good for 80 to 90% of my meals during the week. If I've been good and I have trained, you got into the gym at whatever the recommended dose is for you based on whatever your program is, then I go, okay, tomorrow it's perfectly okay to go out to dinner, not be as, not worry so much about whatever that meal is, have a drink or 2. But that's the meal. Like that's it. So if on a Saturday, you're like, hey, I have friggin' crushed it this week. I got after it. I was in the gym. I ate well, feel good, body feels good. I'm okay with you on Saturday night. Maybe you're going out to dinner with some friends. Go out, have a couple of drinks, have an appetizer, have a big dinner, maybe have a dessert. I love dessert. But that's the only meal. So maybe you forego breakfast and you have a smaller lunch, knowing that you're going to have a lot more to eat that night, just to maintain some caloric balance in your life. Again, if you're in a caloric deficit, you lose weight, or as long as you maintain your calories, you're not going to gain weight. So it might just be one of those things where you fast in the morning on days you're going to have a cheat meal at lunch or dinner or what have you. Or maybe in the morning, you guys are like, hey, we're going to brunch, baby. Let's go mess up some mimosas. We're going to have a big, eggs Benedict and whatever. That's okay. Just know that later that day, you need to eat less because that was your cheat meal. That was your, this is what I've been waiting for. It means far more when you have earned it versus if you're just like willy-nilly, I deserve to have this. Get rid of the word deserve in your head. I do that with all my clients. It's something that we don't talk about. Everything we do is earned. All of it. You want bigger muscles? You have to earn them, right? You want your VO2 max to get better. You have to earn it. All good things in life require payment. And unfortunately, because we have so much access to food and everything that's around that, People forget that they still have to earn what those things are. Once upon a time, that wasn't an option because people just didn't have so much access to food. We can go to the grocery store and get literally anything we want anytime. That's not a good thing. We can go to restaurants whenever we want. Treat your food just like you treat gaining muscle, just like you treat improving your cardiovascular system, just like building relationships, becoming smarter. It requires payment in time, effort, blood, sweat, tears to get what you want. Food should be the exact same way. If you're going to have a cheat day, that's totally fine. I do it with clients every week. There are some people that don't want them. As time goes on, you actually do crave them less because you're eating less things that make you more or make you less satiated. And you're like, oh, I need more of that, more. You know, you get this huge dopamine hit and then you get this drop and blood sugar spikes and then it tanks and you're like, oh my God, I need more food. As time goes on, it gets better, but I still approach it. You've put your work in, you've worked out hard, you've eaten well. Again, you still have to do all these things first. You can't just be like, oh, well, I ate kind of well yesterday. I've earned a cheat meal today. No, you're never actually going to make any progress. It's just going to be this up and down and of no use to you. So my approach, eat well 80 to 90% of the week. 80% of your meals, 90% of your meals need to look good. And honestly, you could use that as like a real statistic. So if you go, okay, I have breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day. I have 3 meals a day during Monday through Friday. Okay, that's 15 meals right there. Saturday, Sunday, I tend to only have 2 meals on each of those days, right? Okay, so that puts us at 19 meals. We'll make it 20 meals just to keep our numbers simple here. So when you think about how much of those meals need to be good during the week, take 80% of 20. That is the amount of meals that need to be good meals. You can literally use this as a checkbox. And so you'd have a couple of meals where you can be like, okay, I'm going to be a little bit more reckless with these meals, if you will, or drinks for that matter. And that's it. You cross that off. The next week, you look at it and you go, okay, same thing. 80% of the meals this week were good meals. I know that might seem a little bit more difficult or stringent, but I'm telling all of you, again, based on the hundreds of people I have worked with, based on the thousands of research studies that we have, you must earn those days where you're not eating well. Because if you don't, it's just this slippery slope. You allow it in and then you go down the rabbit hole. And all of you have had times in your life where you've eaten really, really well. You go off the wagon and you end up staying off the wagon for a long period of time. That's not how this works. The wagon is eating well and training hard. You get off the wagon to basically pop into the bar, have a drink. You get back on the wagon right away. Hopefully that makes lots of sense this morning. I know that's kind of a convoluted conversation because there's so much nuance to it, but that's how I approach it. And it might actually sound simple. Like, oh, come on, Jackson, I get it. Like, yeah, I need to earn my cheat meals. Well, guess what? You need to earn your cheat meals. This isn't rocket science. Like, you need to eat well and train hard 80 to 90% of the week. And if and only if you do that, you have earned yourself the ability to have something that you like. It doesn't have to be on the weekend. It can be during the middle of the week. Last night Christy and I went out to a nice dinner and, I still ate pretty well. I mean, I had a strip and vegetables and it had like this little pistachio ravioli. We had a little bit of fresh mozz and tomato. It was probably more than I would normally eat. But what did I do yesterday? I didn't eat breakfast. I had a smaller but good sized, normal lunch. And I made sure all my protein was hit. And then I had a big dinner last night. Easy as that. I'm like, hey, that's one of my cheat meals this week. And that really wasn't even a cheat meal. It's just something to be conscious of. But make sure you train hard, eat well. That allows you to earn whatever your 2 or 3 cheat meals are a week. And just keep it consistent. It's as easy as that. It allows you to be flexible. It allows you to not be so stringent that you're like, I can't eat anything good for the next 6 months or I'm going to die. But it also is not just allowing you to be willy-nilly and lack self-control. That's it. Done with my rant for today. I love you all. God bless. Be strong. Yo, Renaissance Athlete drops next Thursday, 8/1. Tell your homies about it. I'm jacked and tan about this thing. It's going to be awesome. Workouts are electric. You're going to have access to a lot of free resources. I'm super stoked about this. So share it out with your friends. Share it on the socials. I'll keep putting links out. It's going to be awesome. Pretty jacked about it. All right, y'all. Have a great weekend. Love you all. Let's get some. See ya.